Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak. Inshallah, we will continue with a supplication which occurred to me in Persian. This is part of the 17th word, page 225 in the book The Words. Okay, then let's start reading a supplication which occurred to me in Persian. Again, this is the part of the 17th word, page 225.
This supplication occurred to my heart in Persian and was therefore written in that language. There's a footnote. The supplication is included in the original together with an enlarged Turkish rendering, which is the basis of the translation here. It's the footnote of the translator.
So she translated from the Persian language, not from the Turkish language.
I guess so, somewhat. It might be, not sure. It was first included in my published work, Hubab. O my sustainer, heedlessly, not trusting in you, but in my own power and will, I cast an eye over the 6 aspects, searching for a cure for my ills. Alas, I could find no cure for them. And I understood it was being said to me, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? In heedlessness, I looked to pastime on my right to find solace. But I saw that yesterday appeared to be my father's grave, and pastime as the huge tomb of all my forebears. It filled me with horror rather than consolation. Belief shows that horrific vast grave to be a familiar and enlightened meeting and a gathering of friends. So shall I read until the end of next page, I would say? Because there's going to be back and forth, those some text with a footnote, some text with a footnote, just to see the general pattern, what he is trying to say. Let's read it once, then go back and read paragraph by paragraph. Then I looked to the future on the left, but again I could find no cure. For tomorrow appeared as my grave, and the future as the vast tomb of my contemporaries and the forthcoming generations. It afforded not a feeling of familiarity, but one of fright. Belief and the peace of belief shows that terrible huge grave to be a feast of the most merciful in the delightful palaces of bliss. Since no good appeared from the left either, I looked at the present day, and I saw that it resembled a bier. It was bearing my desperately struggling corpse. Belief shows the bier to be a place of trade and glittering guest house. Thus, I could find no cure from this aspect either. So I raised my head and looked at the top of the tree of my life. But I saw that its single fruit was my corpse. It was looking down on me from the treetop. Belief shows the tree's fruit to be not the corpse, but the worn-out home of my spirit, which will manifest eternal life and is destined for everlasting happiness, from which it has departed in order to travel among the stars. Despairing of that aspect too, I lowered my head. I looked and saw that the dust of my bones underfoot had mixed with the dust of my first creation. It afforded me no cure, but added further pain to my ills. Belief shows the dust to be the door leading to mercy and a curtain before the halls of paradise. I turned away from that too, and looked behind me, where I saw a transient road without foundation revolving and departing in the valleys of nothingness and the darkness of non-existence. It was no salve for my ills. It rather added the poison of horror and fright. Belief shows the world revolving in darkness to consist of missives of the eternally besought one and pages of divine inscriptions, which, having completed their duties and expressed their meanings, have left their results in existence in their place. Since I could see no good in that either, I switched my gaze to before me. I saw that the door of the grave stood open at the end of my road. The highway leading to eternity beyond it struck my gaze from afar. Since belief shows the door of the grave to open unto the world of light, and the road to lead to eternal happiness, It was both a salve for my ills and a cure. Thus, rather than receiving consolation and a feeling of familiarity, I felt only horror and fear at these six aspects. And apart from the faculty of will, I had nothing in my hand with which to withstand them and act in the face of them. Belief gives a document for relying on an infinite power in place of the power of choice, which is like the smallest indivisible particle. Belief gives a document for relying on an infinite power in place of the power of choice, which is like the smallest indivisible particle. Indeed, belief itself is a document. But the human weapon called the faculty of will both lacks power and its range is short. And it is inaccurate. It cannot create, and apart from acquiring, can do nothing. Belief causes the faculty of will to be employed in God's name and makes it sufficient before everything it may face. Like when a soldier employs his insignificant strength on account of the state, he can perform deeds thousands of times greater than his own strength. It can neither penetrate the past nor discern the future, and in regard to my hopes and fears concerning these, was of no benefit. Belief takes its reins from the hand of the animal body and hands them over to the heart and the spirit, and may therefore penetrate the past and the future, for the sphere of life of the heart and spirit is broad. The arena of the faculty of will is brief, present time, and the passing present instant. Thus, despite all my needs and weakness, want and poverty, and my wretched state induced by the horrors and terrors arising from the six aspects, clearly written on the page of my being by the pen of power and included in my nature, were desires stretching to eternity and hopes spreading through eternity.
O my sustainer, heedlessly not trusting in you but in my own power and will, I cast an eye over the six aspects, searching for a cure for my ills. Alas, I could find no cure for them, and I understood it was being said to me, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? Let me read it again. Are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? Can we take this sentence, the question, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you, as a prescription for how to read what is coming next? So I guess he will exemplify some of his illnesses, his worries, and then through using it, he will reach to a cure. So then maybe we shouldn't read in a way that he talks about his illness and from another source, like another book, let's say, somebody came or he remembered, oh, there was a verse, such a verse, so it will become a cure for me. So illness there inside, but the cure is external outside. I guess we shouldn't take it that way. Right? I guess from this question, the way I understand at least is like he realized his illness, and through this illness itself also leads him to the cure. Yes, the cure will be what is given by Quran at the end, but I guess he will reach, or let's say he tells us with this question that he reached what is given in Quran by reading his illness.
I guess we are dividing. So for us, there is something good and there is something bad. So in here, the ills or the problems, obstacles that I go through, they are something that I dislike. And since I dislike them, I label them as bad. And the good for that is going to be either getting rid of this bad situation. So if I am poor, let's say, if my problem is poverty, then to me, solution to this problem becomes if I become rich, or at least not rich, but get rid of this poorness. So this is my understanding of the problem and the solution. But apparently his style is, if you are given a problem, a parent problem, actually the problem itself is your solution because you have a deeper problem, an existential problem. And in order to solve this existential problem, you are given with this apparent problem. So look at this apparent problem, your solution is within your problem. So it's not like the solution of your poverty is going to be getting rich. No, this is not the case. Your real cure for your existential problems is within this poverty. This is why poverty is given to you. So he's just changing the definition of good and bad for me. Because if something that I dislike, then it becomes automatically bad for me. And I am looking for something to replace this dislike to like. This is why I say this is bad versus now I'm looking for something good. It says no, change your definition of like, dislike versus good, bad. The thing itself becomes your cure.
Here, though, like he doesn't. It's true, but the thing that you like or dislike, they are not also something external. It's not like there is an event that you are not pleased with it. If you follow the rest of the text, he more like talks about an aspect that is directly in your nature. So he is referring to something very internal, actually. So when you like say dislike or like, it sounds like, I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but it sounds like it is something that there is an external event, and there are certain events that you are pleased with, and there are certain others that you are not pleased with. That is not the case here. There are certain aspects, like in your like intrinsic aspects that you have, like in you, that is not pleasant in a way. That's why I think you call it ill. But those are the very same things, as Birkan was saying, those are the very same things where what you need to find the cure. You will find the cure within those innate things that you are not pleased with about yourself. Same page?
Yeah.
Okay.
And ultimately, this is what it is. I agree with that. Because my personal poorness, let's say, boils down to more existential poorness in terms of not having any existential power. And everybody is poor at the end of the day. But sometimes we are aware of it, sometimes we are not aware of it. On the surface, yes, if you are materially poor, you feel this. But even if you are rich, materially rich, you are indeed poor in terms of still you do not own anything in this life. So existentially, still you are on the same boat in here. Yeah, you're. I mean, his statement is more general. It also covers the people that are filthy rich.
Well, I have another question. It may not be a significant question, but still, it seems like he's using this a lot. The 6 aspects of like human being, like says like past, future, left, right, up, and down. So obviously, like in terms of the location, like or like space-wise, like it is just a metaphor. But each one of them refers to certain things. Is that the only that's like 6 aspect, like that is something very essential for men, like that he always like uses those examples? Or like why do you, I think like in a simple statement, why does he always use that metaphor to explain things?
In three-dimensional space, that means all your surroundings. So if you are in a cube, a room like cube in here, so it means all around you, all the ways that you can seek some sort of a salvation from future, from back, from left, from right. So it means you try all your surroundings to find a solution for yourself from the sort of existence that you know, which is three-dimensional material space.
So like then he's saying that like if you are looking for, so you are ill, you have issues, and if you are looking for a cure for those issues that you have within the three-dimensional space, you are not going to find it. And that six aspects refers to the material aspect of the existence. So if you are looking for the answers within the material aspect, then you will never find them.
The sort of existence that you get used to, which is the material. So there is no solution for your problems.
I guess these aspects, we see that they correspond to some certain things that we are proud of, like our ancestors, our offsprings. Yes. So my ancestors, my offsprings. I guess the thing is, he has some problems, and then he's trying to solve these problems. Let's say he feels himself worthless, and then he tries to find the value in something that he has, he thought he had, like his past, like his future, or like his ancestors, like his offspring, the humanity, the meaning of life, like the purpose he fulfilled. He tried everything he can think of to feel valuable, let's say, but he couldn't find anything when there was no connection with the Creator. So I guess, at least to me, rather than how many they are, what aspect of my life that they refer is more relevant. But again, maybe there is a symbolism there about the six. I don't know. But since I don't have the knowledge, it would be just speculation.
Like if we look at what we have, what problems we have in our lives, I think it falls down either one aspect here or the other one, because they are most like the past, the present time, the future, or for your body, like in terms of its very far future, which is that, or very far away, like your ancestors. So our concerns are like spread all the time. I think these six aspects covers everything we are worried about, because we are worried about our future. Everybody is working on that, I think, to guarantee their future, or they are like feeling bad about their past because they are like, how to say, they did something wrong, or they are regretful because of something, or the present time they also, and people don't know what to do, maybe kind of things.
Just for elaboration, I might be wrong, but the way I understand the text, when he talks about the past, present, future, what is before, what is behind, he's not referring these aspects as the source of illness. He's trying to use them to find a solution to his original illnesses, and then he realized that they cannot help him.
We are doing the same. Let's say people are trying to, philosophy, science is trying to find the answer of where we are coming from, where we are going to. So the whole endeavor in there is to come up with an explanation to what we are experiencing. What generally happens is either we are trying to come up with a story that goes back to the very past, which we fail, or sometimes we say that we couldn't find it so far, but one day science is going to find the solution to this problem, so we just postpone it to the future, as if one day, we couldn't prove it yet, but science will prove it someday. This is being the general tendency. The reality is we were not able to solve the problem so far. So somehow we need to get rid of this problem. So people, supposedly wise people, they're pushing it to the future, saying that one day they will find it, even though we didn't. I guess it's a human tendency to say that now I am in trouble, so how am I going to get rid of this problem? Is it going to be this, I mean, now or in the past, how can I find a solution to this problem?
I never tried it that way. That when we have problems, we always, usually, not maybe always, there are other methods as well we use. But we usually try to solve it by historical reading or by what it will be like in the future. It's interesting. But he says even if we try to solve it in the present, he still says that you will fail without use of belief.
Mhm.
Are your ills not sufficient as cure for them? So again, just to summarize, he had some ills, we have some ills, and we try to solve, or as Yusuf was emphasizing, we try to get rid of this illness by relying on ourselves. Try to utilize some different aspects of us, some qualities that we supposedly have. We try to rely them, and he says we fail. And then he realized, actually through this realization that he always fails, he says, oh, maybe this illness, the original illness I had, was there for a reason. Maybe it was there so that I can search for solutions, relying on myself, and then fail, and then realize that it was not me who can solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And through this illness, the original illness, he starts to looking for the source where it was, where it came from. And that illness itself, the original illness itself, again, through this realization, becomes a cure for him, probably for even a deeper illness, as you were saying, like some existential illnesses.
So, example might be wrong, but just correct me if I'm wrong. For a student, especially for a lazy student, let's say, the exam term might be a big ill or a big problem. In the word that's translated as ill in here is in Turkish, it is dert. So I am troubled in the time of exam, and just I want to get rid of that. So what do? I Google the professor's information just to see how is he in terms of giving grades. Is he giving easy A's, B's, or he gives F? So looking to the past. Or sometimes I do say, well, if I fail this, still I can take the class in the next quarter or whatever. Sometimes I postpone it to the future. But it doesn't seem to be any better because this is my habit of being lazy. So next term is going to be the same. So postponing it doesn't help either. Sometimes I say, okay, what will happen if I just pass with a D? And then I look at the end results with 2.0 GPA, who is going to offer me a job, sort of what's going to be the fruit of this sort of a study schedule. So on and so forth. I mean, he keeps looking at this for the present moment, but the trouble itself is the cure for this student, because by being troubled with the thing that I want to get rid of is the boredom that I'm now in. I might call some friends, say that, okay, come over and let's hang out together, so that I'm going to get away from this boredom, because this is something that troubles me. But in reality, this boredom itself is your cure, because through this feeling boredom, you are being pushed to study. So the trouble itself is your cure. You should take serious about this, being troubled about your laziness, and study, whatever, do something, and it itself becomes a solution. But we don't do that generally. We just want to get rid of the feeling itself. He says, no, the feeling itself is your cure. It's in there for a purpose. It's good, actually, to have such a feeling. not to feel confident when you don't know anything. Feeling guilty or feeling sorry, feeling this boredom when you don't know anything.
It simply urges you to look internally instead of like looking for the answers or the solutions on the external stuff. Just reflect your own internal intrinsic faculties or nature. That's what he's like doing with the first paragraph, setting up the ground to focus on your own nature, and that is where you should start from. And like eventually, like that's the only way that you can actually really like reach. If you don't really know yourself and your shortcomings, your illnesses, whatever they are, if you don't know yourself, how can you really, even like as you said, initiate the process of searching an answer or a solution? Like looking for solution on the external stuff, like for what? Like you don't know what the sickness is or what the problem is. Like it's very simple example. Like at work, we had like some fracture issue with some of the fittings, and I got an email from the sales guy asking that, okay, customer is very unhappy about this, and like, how are you going to solve this problem? And like, what's going to be the actions to solve the problem? And like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what the problem is yet. Like, I don't know why it's fracturing. So without like understanding what the problem is, how can I like present the solution to you? So it is like not really any different. Like when it comes to your like personal matters, it's not really any different. Like if you cannot really have a clear problem statement about your own nature, then how can you even know like where to look for or like where to start from? I think that's the reason why it says that like your cure is sufficient for your ills, because if you define the ills and illness,
your ill is sufficient for you.
Oh yeah, if you're because it is like half of the problem, right? Like when you define it, then you have a clear understanding of yourself. Like you establish the basis to like where you should start from. Then you can build on top of it. If you don't know that, which in often cases, this is also part of human nature, I think. I do that all the time. I don't know about you guys.
You are the only human?
In this room, yeah.
Okay.
Whenever there is something substantial that I should really like reflect on it and like think about it, I try not to do it, and I always find reasons not to do it and busy myself with something that is external and has no relevance to me at all. The best, like, that's exactly. The best example is the Facebook. It's completely irrelevant. Anything going on there is completely irrelevant, but it comes to a point that it is becoming an addiction now. It's like it's a way of escaping from yourself.
As a reminder, the 17th word was an interpretation of certain verses of Quran. Let me read them again. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, that which is on earth we have made as a glittering show for the earth, in order that we may test them, as to which of them are best in conduct. Another verse, verily, what is on earth we shall make but as dust and dry soil. And the final verse, what is the life of this world but play and amusement? So as you would remember,
may I ask? Sorry.
so you should go ahead.
What's the meaning of glittering show?
It's like very bright and
I got it.
Like he uses
It's
for
something
stars, for instance, stars are glittering.
Shiny, attractive.
Shiny,
Yeah.
yes.
Just I understand. Temporary things. It's like blinking and disappearing.
So maybe we should study this part of the text as well, as it
Keeping this in mind.
contributes, as it contributes to interpretation of these verses. I guess it's not that hard to make the connection because there, at the beginning in the main text of the verse, of the 17th verse, the main topic was death. How can we make sense of death? Everything is taken away from us. What is the point of it? First, we love things. They are given to us in a beautiful forms, but then taken away. What was the point? And I guess it's like the biggest illness we have, like this question. What's the point of death? And then, here again, he says, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? So what it reminds me when I make the connection with the previous part, I don't like death because I'm worried about my existence. When I see things taken away from me, it reminds me of my own death. But instead of trying to solving this problem, going behind, as you said, Osman, describing the problem with right words, that I'm worried about my own existence. What we usually do, we take things and try to make them, let's say, more resistance to cold, more resistance to hot, make them live longer, as if we have the most beautiful flower which doesn't decay, it will be enough for us. As if. But it said, sorry, go ahead.
Just one very vivid example. This is the very same reason why, in this society, the cemeteries are, I would say, even more well maintained than the parks.
What well maintained, you said at the beginning?
Yeah.
Cemeteries.
Yeah, better taken care of than the parks. Why?
Is it because of respect, or what do you think?
I think, deep inside, cemetery is where dead people bury, right? And we want to make it look very as much as possible, so that it will not remind us our own end.
This is the psychology of a student, because there's this student psychology which gives half an hour to just tidy up the table, because if the table is tidy, I'm going to have some sort of an eagerness to study. Because it's like the graveyard that you're going to enter, sit in front of your table to start studying. I know many people who just tidy the table or make programs how to study but never study. I guess this beautifying the unbeautiful or the ugly.
Or seemingly ugly.
Even maybe deeper or even more severe than our worries about our existence, because we also devote a lot of time for curing aging. Right? We also trying to make ourselves live forever. And I don't know, I don't see any reason not to have a feature in which people living a few hundred years. It can be possible. However, I guess we have even deeper problems with change. Even if
we are subjected to change.
Yes, we are subjected to change. It's not in our control. Even if we somehow guarantee to live forever, which deep inside we already know that we will somehow, change will always be. And I guess this is a bigger problem for us, and we won't be able to control it.
And change makes people uncomfortable. Very
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
And today, at least in today's world, we are uncomfortable with getting older because we don't like its consequences. Like we get weaker, our skin seems uglier, and so on. But from another aspect, also we don't like to be changed. We don't like the fact that we cannot make the decision. Even if my body is young forever, as long as things changes, even in the outside, I won't be happy because it won't be my decision. And making the connection to the beginning, like previous weeks, and this is actually a reminder for us, a reminder for our weakness, our lack of control, our poverty. And that, in that sense, is the beginning of the cure, because it reminds us all this. Just simply asking why I don't like that, and not escaping the question by, because, it's that, everybody hates it.
So like man being created in this nature is the solution.
Is the problem, is the real problem.
It is the problem and it is the solution.
Yeah, and we don't like it. Like we trying to fight with it by, let's say, solving the aging, or by solving the food problem, producing more and more and more. Because we think our problem is being hungry. But even if you feed yourself, that's, I guess, what we experience right now. Before, people, at least apparently, used to die out of hunger. Like, at least more people used to die out of hunger in previous centuries compared to this century. And we apparently solved the problem, at least for some group. And today they die out of obesity. It's always there. You have
And
to be
all the hormones that we introduced into the food chain that causes the cancer.
yes. Like again, apparently, but you are always part of the same equation. You are being created, so you have to be subject to all these changes. Either you call it hunger or you call it obesity. There will be such changes in your life that will remind you that you are being created.
So like maybe that's why right at the beginning in the first paragraph he establishes that. And if one misses that point, is it truly necessary to read the rest of the text? And what can you really get out of it? Like I think the reason, like in the very first paragraph, he establishes that like are your ills not sufficient as a cure for you? So if one doesn't like stop for a second and really reflect on the statement and understand what it truly means, and also see the actual concrete examples in your own nature, in your own being, do that internal reflection. If one doesn't do that, I don't think the rest of the text is gonna make quite sense, because it's like buttoning up the first, what do you call it? The button. All the rest of this, like the buttons will be wrong. Like you cannot fix it as you go through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important to like establish the first step.
We can, I guess, also take it as like at the beginning he's giving the highlight of what is coming next, attracting our attention. But even if you do not understand what it really means, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? I guess it can act as a pointer at the beginning. Again, attract your attention so that you become puzzled and read the next
With the state of mind.
with this state of mind, what it means. Because otherwise, I guess, without such a paragraph or without such a striking sentence, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? We can easily, I guess, read the following as he is complaining about his past or his future, and then belief coming and solving his problem. Like he had a problem with his future, and then he read Quran or he talked to some imams, and then he found the solution. Belief helped him. We could read, I guess, following, but with such a striking question, I guess the entire meaning is changing. The play is changing.
In heedlessness, I looked to past time on my right to find solace, but I saw that yesterday appeared to be my father's grave, and past time as the huge tomb of all my forebears. It filled me with horror rather than consolation. Belief shows that horrific West grave to be a familiar and enlightened meeting and a gathering of friends.
So, like, in heedlessness, I looked to past time on my right to find solace, but I saw that yesterday appeared to be my father's grave. So, in heedlessness, is that the problem? So, heedlessness, whatever it is, makes man to feel the horror.
So heedlessness makes you unaware of truth of something.
Sort of like not trusting the God.
So in general, with my heedlessness, so I'm not paying enough attention to it. I just look at it, take what is in the surface as the truth of it, without paying attention. And in this case, looking to the past with heedlessness, if you look at it, it's just a huge grave. The people are dead. End of story. Nothing more. But if you pay attention, try to understand, are they really gone for good, or is there something beyond that? Is it simply end of it? So paying more attention to it is going to show me that no, it's not end of something actually. Sort of they went to the future of me. I will go to where they went. So they went to the place that I'm going to go in the future. So they are not buried in the past now.
So heedlessness is a state of mind that you do not look for any kind of meaning in the events that you experience.
Yeah, or just take what is at the very surface. So I can look at the sunset. With my heedlessness, I can look at it and I can say that it's beautiful. That's it. It was beautiful. For 10 minutes, it was a nice show. And now it ended. That's it. Nothing more than that. And for example, in this example, it's not something bad. It's beautiful. I enjoyed it for 10 minutes. What was the purpose of it? To make me enjoy for 10 minutes. That's it. This is a look for with heedlessness. I didn't look for any further meaning in there. Just 10 minutes of joy was, I take it to be enough for such a big, or same thing, let's say.
We see it as a glittering show.
Yeah. We can take the same with this sun eclipse, let's say. you can take it as why did this happen? Wow, it's amazing if you see it at the full eclipse, if you're in the full eclipse. So it's really amazing. Just think about the fireworks that they make in the 4th of July in here. They make a lot of money. They spend a lot of money to make this show. People are going there for 1 hour. You see all these fireworks. So this one, the sun eclipse, is a much beautiful, and I don't know how much more money we need to put together to eclipse the sun for 1 minute like that. And if you say, why did this happen? It says, wow, this is amazing. What does it mean? It is amazing. So just I guess with my heedlessness, I would say, yeah, it was amazing. It looks like this, what did I say? Diamond ring. Everywhere was dark. It was a very beautiful show. So what? I mean, next time if it happens in Australia, I'm going to fly there to observe it. But this is heedlessness. I mean, you enjoy it, but still, you don't go any further than saying that it's beautiful or it is amazing. Why is it amazing? Why did this happen? Was it just coincidental? I guess such a state is heedlessness, and we are.
In other words, so like everything that you described, it sounds like it's all external again. So heedlessness is a state that where you don't make the connection with your inner self.
But when he says enjoyment, it's pretty personal and with your terms related to inner self.
But in enjoyment, okay, like, but you don't even like ask the question, why do I even enjoy it? Like, what is there in me that actually makes me enjoy this scenery, beautiful scenery?
So I guess
like, what is even like enjoyment? Like, how do you even define enjoyment? Like, when you think about those, then you start to like getting to know yourself.
So maybe to me, making it more real would be looking at again death aspect of this joy, because just saying that it was amazing gives me more pain than joy. For that one moment of observing it, yes, I was enjoying it, but once this joy disappears, it troubles me now, and this is where I should, and this is how I will find out that there is something wrong with this as this sort of enjoyment, because it sounds, I would say, unrealistic or impractical for me to ask, what does it mean enjoyment for me? I genuinely don't do such things. But if I say that, am I getting satisfied with this 1 minute show? And lack of satisfaction is what really makes me question, what was it all about that? Was it just this one moment of joy? At the end, yes, I'm going to ask the question, what does it mean? Joy, enjoyment, whatever. But I guess a more, for me, natural way of asking such a question is, this joy started and ended 1 minute. I enjoyed it very momentarily, but I would like to do it again, but I cannot because of physical constraints. It's not going to happen, let's say, for the next 100 years. But what was the point for that? Now I am yearning for it, and I'm not going to able to get it. So is somebody torturing me? What was the point of even making that? Or this sort of a question, and takes me to the ask the question, then what does it mean? Why did I had this experience in the first place? Because generally, this is how it sounds to the people as philosophizing. If we take it to the way of saying that, what does it mean to enjoy something in the first place? And putting the question in this way, phrasing it as such, sounds very complicated at least. But this is why I guess this author again and again takes the point to the death. He uses death a lot because it is a very human problem. Everybody can relate to it. Yes, it boils down to asking the question what this means in the first place. But I guess a humanly way of saying it is, I am dying. Everything is dying. My joy is also dying, and I don't like this. So what was the point of enjoying in the first place? Why did I enjoy it? Is somebody giving this joy to me as a bait, just whetting my appetite? I eat it, and then as we just catch fish, he's playing with me. It boils down to the same thing, but I'm just trying to say that.
Related to what Osmond said earlier about being personal or being located inside of you, I guess the big question there is, can be personal or not, but what do you use to feel your inner self? Because you always have this emptiness, which needs to be filled with something. I guess the question is then what it is that you are trying to use to feel inside. Yeah, for the cat. And I guess what author says that he tried to use his past to feel inside. He tried to find a solution, I don't know, in his father. And then he realized they also died. Maybe they also already died. So he couldn't feel his gap inside with his past. Belief shows that horrific vast grave to be a familiar and enlightened meeting and gathering of friends.
Then I looked to the future on the left, but again I could find no cure. For tomorrow appeared as my grave, and the future as the vast tomb of my contemporaries and the forthcoming generations. It afforded not a feeling of familiarity, but one of fright. Belief and the peace of belief shows that terrible huge grave to be a feast of the most merciful in the lightful palaces of bliss.
He is also giving some clues about his original ill, because at the beginning he didn't clarify what was his ill that he tried to cure through looking past, future, and so on, right? But here, at the end of each paragraph, for instance, when he looked at the past, he says, "It filled me with horror rather than consolation." So, apparently, obviously, that's what he was looking for, consolation. And then he says, "It afforded not a feeling of familiarity, but one of fright." Again, he's looking for familiarity. I guess familiarity with the creation or with himself. What is going on? And then probably it will continue in the same way. So the reason I'm saying that, not to show that I can read the text, but I'm trying to answer to myself, what is at least one of my biggest worries? Why I'm reading this text? Why I'm reading God? Why I need a God? Why I need searching for a God? And when I sincerely ask these questions, I find myself being lost in the creation. Everything is so strange. My friends. My friend is so strange, right?
Which friends? His friends right over here. Yeah, on
Do
your
you want
side.
to put yourself in the circle?
I'm looking at my past, at what I've done before, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know if it happens to you as well, but
Yeah. If you look at the CV, it's also like very strange to me. Both if I look someone's CV, like both one job to another one, like a lot of jumps between.
Whenever I look my old photos, I said, like, why did I do that? Like, why I was, I don't know, dressing up like this. or why I
I
made
don't know what
these
you're doing there.
choices. All my past, it's like, it doesn't make sense. Was it really me taking all these steps? Or when I look at the lives around me, like the way people live, or the way I live, it doesn't make any sense. Like why I do that, why he does that, why she does that. There is no familiarity. It's like a huge puzzle, a riddle, and I know that I cannot solve it. It's impossible.
Do you think like as he like goes through those aspects step by step, he actually draws the picture of the man's illness, which is, you already said it actually, being subjected to change constantly, but yet at the same time having no control over it whatsoever. But that is the illness.
Because what I see as illness in here is death, going into non-existence. Apparently, everything is going into non-existence. Unless there is an eternal aspect, which is going to be the belief or iman, as he explains, then everything goes to non-existence, me being at the very center of this non-existence. And non-existence resembles darkness a lot, because when you are in total darkness, nothing exists for you. Not even you cannot see your hand, not to make sure that I do exist. This is why I guess physically we are very much bothered with the total darkness. I mean, in the nighttime, you see the stars, it's a beautiful scene. But if it is total darkness, you are locked inside a room which there is no light whatsoever, in total darkness. There's an intrinsic pain in there. And I guess this resembles very much of our existential darkness, existential non-existence.
People actually go insane in those kinds of situations.
And we are in such a situation if there is no belief, because belief in here is actually the opening door to me for the eternity. In this sense, belief, so I am shrouded or surrounded by darkness. Belief, the total darkness, belief is the thing that just cuts through this blanket or the cover around me, which opens up the light to eternity. Mm-hmm. So my problem in here is I'm trying to see light from some aspect. I'm saying that is there a light in the future? Is there a light in the past? Something at the very end? Am I going to see it? Mm-hmm. So my real problem is non-existence. I die. Every moment I die. Everything dies with me. And I'm at the very center of this dying or non-existing things. And this really makes you go nuts. We don't like it. I mean, we cannot endure it. This is how we are made. Since no good appeared from the left either, I looked at the present day, and I saw that it resembled a buyer. It was bearing my desperately struggling corpse. Belief shows the buyer to be a place of trade and a glittering guest house.
Since no good appears from left either, I look at the present day, and I saw that it resembled a coffin. It was bearing my desperately struggling corpse. Interesting.
There's a person that I know. Her email ends with this signature. She says, happiness is a lifestyle. Just make most out of the moment or leave the moment, something like that. I guess this is being last resort, saying that you can be happy by just living the moment or making most out of the moment. So then we are trying to make most of what is this moment. So nothing from past, nothing from future. Let's live the moment then. Because this is what I have it.
That is the heedlessness. That is the heedlessness.
Yeah. It's not on surface.
Yeah, it was in my mind always. You think that the problem or the illness here is the death. I totally agree with you, but I think that is also something in your illness. What I would say for this illness is also thinking of the statement here, not trusting in you, but in my own power and will, I feel like the the common, the general, or the problem in the like roof on top of that is you wanna mimic the god, or you wanna like pretend like a god. Is the thing I think we have a problem, because if you only think about the death, yeah, you can't control the past because you don't like it has gone, but also for the future. For example, you want to control something in a certain way, like you want it to be in a certain way. I think it is something different from that. Also, but it is also your ill. I think, for example, I want the future to be in this certain way, but it doesn't happen with my willing. So this is also something I'm ill. Like this is my illness. For example, I want my family to be in a certain city or to have a certain life, or I want to see myself in a certain level. I mean, it's also similar to that because, it doesn't exist for me. But I would say like it's something that maybe my definition of that is different. But I would say like here the problem to me is I want to be like a god. It's something also, not to die, because being a god means also you shouldn't die, or
You want
It comes as a part of the package.
sorry,
you want to be self-subsistent,
self-sufficient.
not relying on anything else other than yourself.
So it's something comes into that. Maybe we are maybe talking about the same thing, but maybe just my definition of that is different.
When you said being self-sufficient, the way we manifest subsistence, the way we manifest this desire, sometimes it becomes so funny because you see that you cannot do it by yourself. Ultimately, what you say, there is a law which is called conservation of the matter or energy, because you have to make something eternal, and you are part of the system, and that makes you, let's say, happy for a moment. I was reading, it was a short
I just realized that though, like, don't forget, I just realized that also comes, like, reincarnation also comes as an answer to man's, like, the need for eternity.
So text is written by a scientist. He's talking about that. He's a biologist. It says everything dies, regardless of who you are, what is your expertise, what you study. You know that you will die. There is no one who would deny that. He says everything dies, and you have to accept. Anyway, he was talking about it. At the end, he was saying, but maybe we will be part of, as you were saying, we will be part of a cosmic balance. We will be part of a eternally revolving energy or something. I guess no matter your background or no matter your so-called beliefs are, you have this tendency to make yourself something, part of something eternal. You call it cosmic balance. Just use it as a poetic expression, or conservation of energy, but you have this tendency.
Yes, regardless of our background, we are in need of drinking water. So this is
exactly the same. Yeah,
the need for water.
So let's read the last one. The last one for today, because we have to finish early. Let's read one more and then finish.
Before passing to the next, I really liked how he says this moment resembles a coffin. You are inside this coffin, people are carrying you with a coffin. And if we truly look at this moment, it is really like as if I'm in a coffin, I'm moving with this coffin.
You're stuck there. You cannot go back, or you cannot go front.
As if I am already dead in this moment itself. Because the people that are put inside a coffin is already dead people. Those people do not enjoy life any further. they're already dead. So he says that although at the moment I am apparently living, I'm not really living. I'm already dead, even at the very moment that I think I am living. And if we pay attention to it carefully, what is the moment that we live really? Is it 1 hour? Is it 10 minutes? Is it a second, millisecond, instant? What is it really? How wide is this moment that I enjoy? And as we keep splitting the hair, it gets thinner as a hair, actually. Because this moment is nothing but past and future. So it is very much the expectations of future and the regrets of the past are joining or kissing each other at the moment. So the moment that we are living in is sort of one of the seas which are next to each other but not getting mixed, as Quran puts it. So, and we are right in the middle of this sea of past and future, and we are trying to enjoy, but it's just geometrically speaking, as if it's just a line. Does it exist? It doesn't have any third dimension. It's just a two-dimensional, one-dimensional light. No, not even a surface. And it's just very tiny, and we are sitting on top of that, in the separation of past and the future, and we are thinking as if I am holding to something. And it is right at the separation point we live lives, at the separation point of past and the future. This is why we keep experiencing separation again and again, because the moment that we live is nothing but separation. So this is why he says, the moment that I live, do I really live, or it's just a dead body is being carried with a coffin? So it looks like that. He says, without belief, indeed, this is what it is. But belief in this case loads meaning in it, or not loads, but uncovers the truth that is hidden behind this heedless perspective, which looks to it's a place of trade and glittering guest house. So this is the place that you make your trade. You earn something for your future journey, which is supposedly past, but it becomes your future because you learn something for your future. So the resemblance in here is good, because it is good to look at it like that, because I am being heedless most of the time. It doesn't mean that it's 0 and 1. I have chosen to be a believer. No, I am clinging to life as if this is the truth. It happens a lot. Remembering this analogy is, this moment is nothing but just a moving coffin, is a good analogy to remember for myself, I guess. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.